Many people around the world recognize this company thanks to the global success of their hit mobile game, Fate Grand Order. Type Moon is a creative force that transformed the doujin game scene with their debut title Tsukihime and gained widespread acclaim with their first official commercial release, Fate Stay Night. Today, Type Moon stands as one of Japan's most influential and respected creative studios in the industry. In this video, I'll be taking you through the complete history of Type Moon, from their humble beginnings as a small doujin circle struggling to sell their work to becoming a household name recognized across the globe. To understand how it all started, we need to go back to the very beginning, the meeting of the brilliant scenario writer Natsukinoko and the passionate and supportive illustrator Takeuchi Takashi. Type Moon was founded in 1999 by scenario writer Natsukinoko and illustrator Takeuchi Takashi, originally as a doujin circle. In Japan, a doujin circle refers to a group of individuals who collaborate on self-published creative works, often driven by shared interest or hobbies. Both Natsu and Takeuchi first met during junior high school, where they happened to be in the same class and sat next to each other. Their friendship began with a simple moment. Natsu dropped his eraser and asked Takeuchi if he could borrow one. Their relationship grew with having the same hobbies such as manga, video games, and novels. The two would trade reviews and information, which led to Takeuchi to pursue to become a mangaka and Kinoko as a novelist. During their school days, Natsu had 2 scripts completed, which Takeuchi read, and that was when Takeuchi became immersed in Natsu's writing. One of those scripts was Mahou Tsukai no Yoru, Witch on the Holy Night. Natsu was attempting to submit the script to writing competitions, but unsuccessful due to the competition's criteria. More of Mahoyo later in this video. After graduating, the two went their separate ways to pursue their dreams. In 1996, at the age of 23, Takeuchi entered Enix, third monthly Shonen Gangan manga competition, and in 1997 he debuted as a mangaka with his one-shot manga Yushabu Tadaima Katsudouchu. After publishing a one-shot manga, Takeuchi found that it was not financially sustainable as a full-time career. Upon the recommendation of his editor, he joined a CG graphics company based in Hiroshima, Compile, a studio best known at the time for the Puyo Puyo series. Compile would later evolve into Compile Heart, recognized for developing the popular Hyperdimension Neptunia franchise. At Compile, Takeuchi worked as a CG graphics designer while continuing his pursuits as a mangaka. However, his tenure coincided with a challenging period for the company, which ultimately filed for bankruptcy in 1998. Following the company's bankruptcy, Takeuchi moved to Tokyo and transitioned to Rising, now known as Eighting, a company founded by former Compile employees. During this period, Natsu was also based in Tokyo, striving to establish himself as a professional writer. Recognizing Natsu's talents and the lack of opportunities coming his way, Takeuchi was determined to support him and help showcase his potential. The idea he came up with was an online novel. In 1998, Takeuchi and Natsu founded the doujin circle Takeboki and began publishing Kara no Kyokai Garden of Sinners as a serialized web novel, releasing new chapters monthly. It was through this platform that Natsu's distinctive writing style and intricate world building began to attract attention. 3 months after launching the website, they decided to participate in Komitia, a doujin event, to sell physical copies of Kara no Kyokai. However, due to the limited recognition of their circle at the time, they managed to only sell 6 copies. Despite the modern reception, both Takeuchi and Natsu remained confident in the strengths of their work, believing that readers would recognize its quality if given the chance. As they explored ways to reach a broader audience, Takeuchi and Natsu recognized the limitations inherent in writing works alone. While brainstorming new approaches to engage readers, they discovered the world of doujin games. Between 1997 and 1999, the visual novel game genre experienced a significant surge in popularity. Visual novels are a unique form of video games that blend narrative-driven text with static or animated illustrations, creating an immersive storytelling experience that bridges literature and interactive media. A key factor in the growth of visual novels during this period was their exclusive release on PC, a platform that imposed fewer restrictions on content. This allowed for a greater creative freedom, including the inclusion of mature themes and 18+ content, which played a significant role in shaping the genre's identity and appeal. After discovering the world of visual novels, Nasu and Takeuchi established a new doujin circle named Type Moon. They were joined by former Compile employees, programmer Kiyotake Nobuyuki, also known as Kiyobe, and composer Haga Keita, also known as Kate. The name Type Moon originated from a character created by Nasu for an original tabletop RPG he had designed for his friends titled Hagane no Daichi. Approximately 1 year after founding Type Moon, the team completed the project that would captivate the doujin community, Tsukihime. Tsukihime was developed by a small team of just 4 individuals, all of whom maintained full-time jobs while working on the project. With limited resources at their disposal, the team dedicated their nights to development, often working until 4 AM every day. At the time, Nasu was working at a publishing company, often putting in 20 hours a day between his job and developing work. This demanding schedule led to delays in the completion of Tsukihime. Recognizing the toll it was taking, Takeuchi offered to cover Nasu's living expenses, encouraging him to focus solely on finishing the project. Takeuchi's decision to fully commit to a game that had no guarantee of commercial success reflected not only his passion, but also the unwavering belief in Nasu's talent and creative vision. With Takeuchi's support, Nasu was able to complete Tsukihime. Upon completing Tsukihime, the team produced 300 copies of a trial version titled Tsukihime Half Moon Edition, which they released at Comiket 58 during the summer of 2000 and completely sold out. As Type Moon's debut project, Tsukihime was remarkably ambitious. It featured approximately 150 event CGs, over 500 total graphic scenes, and a scenario spanning more than 5,000 pages. An impressive scope for a first release from an independent circle. For many visual novels, 18+ content serves as a primary selling point. However, Nasu approached it differently. Rather than using such content purely for commercial appeal, he integrated it as a narrative device to deepen the story and character development. Particular care was taken in crafting these scenes to ensure they contributed meaningfully to the emotional and physiological growth of the protagonist, Tonoshiki, maintaining the story's focus and thematic cohesion. Due to this approach, it changed the landscape of the visual novel community. At the following event, Winter Comiket 59, the full version of Tsukihime was officially released, and all 800 copies sold out. The game quickly garnered widespread acclaim online, making significant impact with the doujin game community. While the quality of Tsukihime was considered modest by standards of its time, its compelling writing, distinct artwork, and atmospheric music and sheer volume of content were more than enough to capture the attention of players. These strengths played a key role in the game's growing popularity and lasting influence. It was this moment when Nasu's writing and Takeuchi's artwork received broad recognition. Following the release of Tsukihime, the team initially planned to return to their career paths. However, the overwhelming popularity of the game and growing demand from fans made it clear that stepping away from the doujin activities was no longer an option. In 2001, Type Moon released Tsukihime Plus Disc and a fan disc called Kagetsu no Toya, both of which contributed to the continued expansion of Type Moon's popularity. Later that year, at Winter Comiket 63, Type Moon collaborated with doujin circle Watanabe Seisakusho, known today as French Bread, to release the 2D fighting game Melty Blood, further developing the Tsukihime universe and introducing it to a broader audience. It was around this period that discussions began regarding the formal establishment of Type Moon as a commercial company. The transition to become a company was postponed as the team was fully focused on developing their next major title. Type Moon understood that in order to establish a presence in the commercial market, they would need to create a project that not only met but exceeded the standards of the doujin scene. In 2003, Natsukinoko Takeichi Takashi and Kiyotake Nobuyuki, also known as Kyobit, established Notes Ltd. As the official corporate entity behind Type Moon, marking their entry into the commercial industry. The original doujin circle, Type Moon, continued to operate as a subsidiary under the leadership of Takeuchi. On January 30th, 2004, the company released its first commercial title, Fate Stay Night. It is said that for a visual novel to be a big hit, the title would need to sell at least 10,000 copies. The original 2004 PC visual novel of Fate Stay Night sold over 400,000 copies, which secured Fate Stay Night the title of the highest selling visual novel in 2004. In 2007, readers of Dengekiji's magazine ranked the game second as the most interesting Bishoujo game ever. The game was later released on PlayStation 2 in 2007, which sold over 180,000 copies, re-released on the PlayStation 2 with over 21,000 copies sold, and sold over 58,000 copies on the PlayStation Vita in 2013, and on its re-release on the PlayStation Vita in 2014, it sold over 86,000 copies. In 2024, the remastered version released on both PC and Nintendo Switch, which sold over a combined unit of 100,000 copies worldwide, totaling the numbers over 850,000 copies sold. The story of Fate Stay Night centers around a secret battle royale known as the Holy Grail War, in which 7 mages referred to as masters summon powerful heroic spirits called servants to fight on their behalf. The ultimate prize is the Holy Grail, a mythical artifact capable of granting any wish to the victor. The game is structured into 3 distinct narrative routes: the Saber route, the Unlimited Bladeworks route, and the Heaven's Feel route. Unlike traditional visual novels that allow players to freely choose routes from the beginning, Fate Stay Night requires the routes to be played in a specific order. While player choices still influence the story, this structure was designed to guide the gradual development of the protagonist, Emiya Shiro. An enlightenment was Type Moon's attempted narrative arc. One of the most compelling elements that contributed to the game's widespread appeal was its innovative take on the Holy Grail War. Each servant is a heroic spirit drawn from myth, legend, or history, but their true identities are concealed. Instead, they are referred by their class titles such as Saber or Archer. This narrative choice introduced a unique mystery element, allowing players to piece together clues and gradually uncover each servant's true name and origin. This layer of intrigue added depth to the storytelling and created a sense of discovery that set Fate Stay Night apart from other visual novels. Following the commercial success of Fate Stay Night in 2004, Type Moon chose to revisit and formally publish their early web novel Kara no Kyokai, The Garden of Sinners. The novel was officially released by Kodansha Novels on August 6, 2004. The Kara no Kyokai Garden of Sinners novel series went on to sell over 700 copies, including 5,000 copies of a limited edition release. On October 28, 2005, Fate Hollow Ataraxia released for the PC, drawing large crowds on launch day. The game was later ported on the PlayStation Vita on November 27, 2014, and subsequently released on the Steam and Nintendo Switch on August 7, 2025. A few months earlier, on March 25, 2005, Melty Blood Act Cadenza debuted in Japanese arcades, marking the series' entry into the commercial gaming market. It was later released on PlayStation 2 on August 10th, 2006, and PC on July 27, 2007, further solidifying the Melty Blood franchise as a staple in the fighting game genre. Type Moon continued to build on the success of the Fate franchise by releasing several spin-off video games. Fate Tiger Coliseum launched on the PlayStation Portable on September 13, 2007, followed by its sequel, Fate Tiger Coliseum Upper, on June 16, 2008. On June 11, 2008, Type Moon partnered with Kavia, 18, and Capcom to release Fate Unlimited Codes, a 3D fighting game that was later ported onto the PlayStation 2 on December 18, 2008, and on the PlayStation Portable on June 18, 2009. Further diversifying its game offerings, Type Moon collaborated with Image Poach and Marvelous Entertainment to release its first role-playing game, Fate Extra for the PlayStation Portable on July 22nd, 2010. Type Moon's ability to produce multiple titles in a relatively short time frame, often in collaboration with major industry partners, highlighted Takeuchi Takashi's strengths not only as a creative force, but also a skilled and strategic business manager. Beyond visual novels and video games, Type Moon successfully expanded into manga and anime, establishing itself as a multi-faceted entertainment brand. On January 7, 2006, the TV anime adaptation of Fate Stay Night premiered, featuring 24 episodes produced by Studio Dean. The series primarily followed the Saber route from the original visual novel. During the development of the anime, an original storyline was also proposed, featuring a new heroine named Tachie, a shielder class servant. However, this concept was ultimately scrapped. Details about this unused storyline were later revealed in the Fate unpublished material book released on December 20th, 2019. 4 years after the TV anime aired, the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works route was adapted into an animated film released on January 23rd, 2010 by Studio Dean. The film grossed over 37 million yen, approximately 3 million USD at the time. Both the television series and the film adaptation received mixed critical and fan reception. The anime adaptation that firmly established Type Moon's presence in the anime industry was none other than Karano Kyokai, the Garden of Sinners. The popularity of the original novels paved the way for the ambitious animation project. 7 featured-length films, each approximately 60 minutes long, released over the span of 3 years. At the time, such a large-scale undertaking was virtually unprecedented, and even by today's standard, it remains unheard of. The project was a collaborative effort between 3 companies. Aniplex served as the producer. Animation was handled by then rising studio Ufotable, and Type Moon provided the original work. Initially, both Takeuchi and Nasu intended to focus on developing new games. However, Aniplex producer Iwakami Atsushiro and Ufotable founder and president Kondo Hikaru persuaded them to move forward with the Karano Kyokai anime adaptation, driven by their deep passion for and appreciation of the original work. The animation project was a huge success, allowing the 3 companies to continue their relationship to this day. The 3 companies released Fate Zero, the TV version and remake of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and the Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel movie trilogy. Throughout the 2000s, Type Moon steadily expanded its presence across various media, including video games, manga, novels, and anime. By the time the 2010s began, it had become clear that Type Moon had evolved into a broader creative platform, with numerous writers, artists, and developers contributing to a diverse range of projects under the Type Moon umbrella. As mentioned earlier, the Fate Extra series, which the characters were designed by artist Wada Aruko, expanded into multiple video games, manga adaptations, and a TV anime adaptation. Fate Zero is a prequel novel to Fate Stay Night, written by Urobuchi Gen back in 2006 and 2007, re-owned for his work in dark fantasy and physiological thrillers. He is best known for Puella Magi Madoka Magica and Psychopath, and of course, Saya no Uta. Prior to Fate Zero, Nasu had approached Urobuchi to collaborate on Fate Stay Night, impressed by his distinctive and mature storytelling style. However, Urobuchi declined the offer, as he was then committed to working on Saya no Uta with Nitro Plus. Although not written by Nasu, the anime adaptation was widely praised by fans for its high quality animation and faithful treatment of the original Fate Stay Night storyline. Multiple Fate spin-off manga and novels have been published, and even magazines. As Type Moon's 10th anniversary project, the OVA series Carnival Phantasm anime was animated by Studio Lurch. The anime series is based off of Takanashi Edi's parody manga Take Moon, which was released in 2 volumes between the years 2003 and 2005, parodying Type Moon characters. April 2008, it was announced that Type Moon would release a game version of Mahou Tsukai no Yoru, Witch on the Holy Night, a remake version of Tsukihime, and an original project titled Girl's Work. The original Tsukihime visual novel features 5 story routes divided into 2 thematic arcs. The near side of the moon routes focused on Arcade and Ciel, while the far side of the moon routes explored the stories of Akiha, Hisui, and Kohaku. A 6th route attended to center Yumizuka Satsuki was planned during the original development, but ultimately cut. However, with the announcement of the remake, it was confirmed that the long-awaited Satsuki route would finally be included. After more than a decade without updates, the remake was officially announced during the Fate Project New Year's Eve TV special 2020. It was revealed that the game would be released in 2 parts for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4. The first installment, Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon, featuring the updated Arcade and CL routes, has since been released. The text amount of Piece of Blue Glass Moon was doubled the amount of text than the original full game. The second installment, Tsukihime, The Other Side of Red Garden, will include the remade Akiha, Hisui, and Kohaku routes, along with a newly implemented Satsuki route. A few months prior to the release of Tsukihime Remake, it was announced that a new installment in the Melty Blood series, Melty Blood Type Lumina, would launch just 1 month after the remake's debut. The game is heavily influenced by the updated Tsukihime universe, with its storyline set approximately 10 days before the events of the new visual novel. Girls' Work was originally supposed to release as a visual novel, but later changed into an anime, but it has been rumored to be cancelled. Many believe that the project eventually became Fate Requiem. As mentioned earlier in the video, Mahou Tsukanyoru was one of Nasukinoko's first stories that he has ever wrote. Originally scheduled for release in 2009, Mahou Tsukanyoru, Witch on the Holy Night, experienced several years of delays before finally launching on April 12, 2012 for PC. Notably, the role of lead artist was Koyama Hirokazu rather than Type Moon's longtime illustrator Takeuchi Takashi. Mahou Tsukanyoru serves as the origin point for the Tsukihime, Kara no Kyokai, and Fate Stay Night universes. The story follows a young Aodaki Aoko, who previously appeared in Tsukihime, as the protagonist, Tonoshiki's teacher. Nasu described the project as a true work of craftsmanship, emphasizing meticulous attention to detail in every aspect of the game. Scene composition, camera work, CG direction, character positioning, and text presentation, with the goal of delivering a product of the highest quality possible. Departing from the traditional visual novel conventions, Mahou Tsukanyoru introduced a new level of visual storytelling. It accurately depicted character positioning within scenes, such as classroom layouts or subtle spatial cues like a character standing behind another, and incorporated fluid animated movements to create a more immersed experience. The game demonstrated the potential for visual novels to evolve beyond static presentations. An enhanced version of the game was later released for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 on December 8th, 2022, featuring improved resolution and full voice acting. The version included language options in Japanese, English, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese. A Steam release followed on December 14th, 2023. A sequel of the visual novel has been confirmed, though no official updates have been provided since its initial announcement in 2012. However, in December 2021, an anime film adaptation was announced, with animation to be handled by Ufotable. On July 30th, 2014, Type Moon announced Fate Grand Order as a part of their Fate Online project, initially envisioned as a large-scale multiplayer online game. However, the concept was eventually reworked into a mobile RPG. The game officially launched in Japan on July 29th, 2015 for Android devices, followed by an iOS release on August 12, 2015. Fate Grand Order is a mobile RPG written by Nasukinoko, featuring contributions from a wide range of artists, including Takeuchi Takashi, Paco, Honjo Raita, and many others. The game is produced by Aniplex, then relatively new to the mobile game market, and developed by the newly established studio Delight Works. As previously mentioned, Fate Grand Order originated from the Fate Online project, which Type Moon has been developing around 2010. The original vision was a large-scale online MMO, but the project was ultimately cancelled. However, many of its concepts and narrative elements were later repurposed for the Fate Stay Night spin-off light novel Fate Apocrypha, which was published from December 2012 to December 2014. In many ways, Fate Grand Order can be seen as a spiritual successor to the cancelled Fate Online project. In October 2013, Takeuchi reached out to Shoji Akihito, a game industry veteran with over 15 years of experience, who had worked on major titles at Square Enix, including entries in the Final Fantasy and Star Ocean series. Shoji would later go on to establish the game development company Delight Works, works. Takeuchi sought his guidance on how to transform Fate Grand Order into a mobile game. Upon being approached, Shoji took the opportunity to explore the Fate franchise for the first time and immediately recognized the vast potential. Despite the series' growing popularity, the Type Moon duo still regarded Fate as a niche franchise with a core fan base. Encouraged by his insights, Shoji urged Type Moon to move forward with the project, advising them to create the most brand new, the most familiar, and the most Fate-like experience possible, one that could resonate with longtime fans while also appealing to a broader audience. At the time, many mobile games followed a card-based gameplay model. During the early prototyping phase of Fate Grand Order, Shoji implemented this approach by representing Fate characters as collectible cards. However, the Type Moon duo felt that this format lacked the essence of what made Fate unique. Shoji soon realized that the missing element was the creative presence of Natsukinoko himself, the narrative force that unified the Fate universe, recognizing that Natsu's involvement was essential to capturing the true spirit of the franchise. The initial plan to limit his role was abandoned, with Natsu taking on central position in the project's development. Fate Grand Order began to take shape as the story-driven Fate authentic experience it is known for today. As the release of Fate Grand Order got closer, pre-registrations surpassed 700,000 players with high expectations from fans. Following the official release of Fate Grand Order, the game quickly encountered a number of technical issues. Players experienced extended maintenance periods on a near daily basis, frequent lag, and a critical flaw in which clearing the app's cache would result into losing all of the game data. Despite high expectations, the launch was met with overwhelming negative feedback. FGO was widely criticized as a mobile title that had not been properly optimized or prepared for release. The scale and severity of these launch issues were considered highly unusual even within the mobile game industry. It took the development team nearly 2 months of intensive work before Fate Grand Order reached a playable state. However, even after the period, additional issues persisted, including a confusing UI system, slow recovery times for action points, AP, and gameplay balance concerns. It was later revealed that the rocky launch stemmed in a part from structural challenges. Delightworks was a newly formed studio, and Aniplex had limited experience in the mobile gaming market at the time. As a result, the project lacked necessary budget and infrastructure to ensure a smooth release. Amid the post-launch turmoil, it was creative director Shiokawa Yosuke who stepped in and played a pivotal role in rebuilding the team from the ground up, setting the foundation for the game's eventual turnaround and long-term success. Shiokawa was previously a creative director at Square Enix, where he contributed to major titles such as Dissidia Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. During the development of Fate Grand Order, Shoji Akito frequently consulted Shiokawa for advice. Following the game's troubled launch, Shiokawa played a key role in stabilizing the project. His involvement proved so impactful that he eventually joined Delightworks and officially became part of the Fate Grand Order development team. Shiokawa prioritized addressing the game's most pressing issues, beginning with the improvements to the UI and text clarity, changes that were implemented relatively quickly and had an immediate positive impact on the player experience. When it came to gameplay balance, the team took a more measured approach. Enemy difficulty was scaled down and balance adjustments were made gradually to ensure long-term stability. Under Shiokawa's leadership, the development team focused first on the concerns most frequently raised by players before turning their attention to less prominent issues that still required refinement. This structured and player-focused approach played a crucial role in stabilizing Fate Grand Order post-launch. Fate Grand Order was designed as a turn-based RPG in which players take on a role of a master, fighting alongside their summoned servants through a turn-based battle. What truly set the game apart, however, was its extensive narrative and immersed storytelling, elements rarely seen in mobile games at the time. This became one of FGO's defining strengths and key appeals. While most mobile titles feature minimal dialogue, often limited to just a few taps before gameplay, FGO initially followed a similar format. However, it soon became clear that its approach was insufficient to convey the depth and complexity of Natsu Kinoko's storytelling, which fans had come to expect. As both the developers and the fanbase recognized this, the volume of narrative text began to increase significantly, starting with Chapter 5. This shift marked a turning point for the game, establishing it as a story-driven experience unlike any other in the mobile game market. With this, FGO attracted even more fans. As FGO was entering the start of FGO Part 2, Cosmos and the Lost Belt, Shiokawa was promoted to creative producer of FGO, and Kano Yoshiki took on the mantle of FGO's creative director. On April 27, 2021, former Capcom employee and Street Fighter producer Ono Yoshinori joined as the company's president and chief operating officer. As the years go by, Delightworks started to expand to indie games, board games, and even more mobile games. On December 15, 2021, it was announced that Aniplex would acquire the Fate Grand Order development team and the entire division from Delightworks, which included key figures director Kano Yoshiki, FGO marketing director Basta Ishikura, and graphic designer Anjo Makoto, with the transition officially taking place on February 1st, 2022. Following the acquisition, a newly established company, later named Lasango, took over development responsibilities for the game. Ono Yoshinori was also acquired in the transition, becoming the president of Lasango. Shiokawa Yosuke left Delightworks to form his new company. While no official reason was provided for the transition, it is widely speculated that it was due to concerns over project management and resource allocation at Delightworks. In particular, criticism surrounded the handling of both Fate Grand Order and the mobile game Sakura Kakume Hanasaku Otometachi, a Sakura Wars spin-off that ended service just 6 months after launch. Over the years, Fate Grand Order has become one of the highest grossing mobile games globally, generating remarkable revenue figures. As of August 2021, the game was ranked as the 7th highest grossing mobile title of all time, with player spending exceeding 5.4 billion US dollars. By September 2023, that number has surpassed 7 billion in total revenue across an 8-year span. A significant portion of FGO's earning comes from a domestic market, with Japan accounting for approximately 81.1% total revenue, followed by China at 8.1% and the United States at 5.8%. The game was consistently ranked among Japan's top grossing titles every year from its launch in 2015 through 2024. Fate Grand Order celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2025, and it surpasses over 32 million downloads in Japan alone. The game continues to show strong momentum with no signs of slowing down. As previously mentioned, FGO has expanded globally with official releases in the United States, China, and South Korea. It has made a prominent presence at events worldwide, inspiring a passionate international fan base. From fan art and cosplay to community-driven content and merchandise, Fate Grand Order has become a beloved cultural phenomenon worldwide. In 2018, Fate Grand Order expanded into arcades with the launch of Fate Grand Order Arcade, a collaborated project with Sega. This title offered players a 3D action multiplayer experience. One of the game's most distinctive features was the inclusion of physical cards, allowing players to collect real-world versions of both servants and craft essences. Given the popularity of arcade card-based games in Japan, this approach resonated strongly with fans. The ability to physically collect and interact with cards featuring their favorite characters becoming a major appeal and contributed to the game's success in arcades. Additionally, Fate Grand Order has extended its presence in the trading game market by joining well-known franchises such as Bushiroad's Weiss Schwarz and Aniplex's Build Divide, further solidifying its footprint in collective card culture. In the most recent Type Moon magazine, Volume 17, Natsukinoko stated that he was 50-50 if it was the right decision to work on FGO. If I wasn't involved with FGO, I might have created many more Type Moon projects, but due to my involvement, I was able to gain lots of experience and relationships. Type Moon has been a big influence in pop culture with their work, whether it's manga, anime, or in video games. As we enter the 2020s, Type Moon has already released or is planning to release the following projects. Fate Samurai Remnant is an action role-playing game produced by Koei Tecmo and developed by Omega Force and Shibusawa Co., a collaborative project with Aniplex and Type Moon. The game was released across multiple platforms including PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and the Nintendo Switch. In 2019, Type Moon announced Studio B BB, which will create games other than visual novels for Type Moon projects. Fate Extra producer Nino Kazuya was appointed as the studio director and teamed with several game industry veterans. Studio BB is currently working on the highly anticipated Fate Extra Record, a remake of the Fate Extra PSP game, which is slated to release spring 2026. The studio has plans to create more games based off existing IPs, new work by Natsukinoko, and a completely original and new IPs. Today, Type Moon stands as a powerhouse in the multimedia landscape, with its brand recognized and celebrated worldwide. With a growing portfolio of successful titles across visual novels, video games, anime, manga, and more, the company continues to expand its influence and creative reach. Given its considered momentum and ambitious future projects, Type Moon shows no signs of slowing down. So there you guys have it. That was the history of Type Moon. This took long hours, sleepless nights in order to research and create. Definitely rewriting the script multiple times was a headache, but to be able to create a video like this was super fun, and hopefully I can do something like this again in the future. I definitely want to thank Emphy for reviewing and letting me know of a few corrections here and there in the script, so really appreciate him. I'll leave his link down below so that you guys can give him a follow. But yeah, that's basically going to be about it. It'd be really cool if you guys subscribe to the channel, comment down below and let me know what you guys think of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters.